Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION World is One. I'm Shivan Janna. This is Speed News. Let's get started. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Ukraine is ready to sign a minerals deal with the US. Zelensky, after attending a summit with European leaders in London, said that the agreement is on the table and will be signed once both parties are ready. He was expected to sign the deal, which would grant the US access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals, during his visit to Washington last week. However, the deal wasn't signed after a heated exchange between Zelensky and Trump at the Oval Office. During the meeting, Trump and Vance accused Zelensky of being ungrateful for American military support, of gambling with the lives of millions, pushing the world towards World War III by continuing to fight Russian invasion. France and Britain are proposing a partial one-month truce between Russia and Ukraine that would not cover ground fighting. This is according to French President Emmanuel Macron, who added that the truce would cover air, sea and energy infrastructure attacks. He made the statement after the London summit, where UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said that UK, along with France and others, would work with Ukraine on a plan to stop the fighting, which they would then put to Washington. Starmer highlighted that Europe found itself at a crossroads in history and must do the heavy lifting to defend itself, as he, along with other leaders, discussed ways of working together to stop Russia's war in Ukraine. He unveiled plans to keep the military aid flowing into Ukraine, to have Kiev at the table for any peace talks, for European leaders to aim to deter any future Russian invasion of Ukraine, and a coalition of the willing to be formed to defend a deal in Ukraine and guarantee peace. Freed Israeli hostage Eli Sharabi is set to meet Donald Trump in Washington this week, along with other former hostages. Eli was among 3 hostages alongside Levi and Ohad Ben Ami, released on 8th of February after nearly 500 days in captivity. Their emaciated condition sparked outrage in Israel. In a recent interview, Eli described the severe hunger and violence he endured, saying he was tied up for days, unable to sleep from the pain. During the Hamas attack on the 7th of October, Eli's wife and daughters were killed, while his brother Yossi was also taken hostage and later died in captivity in Gaza. Israel has blocked all aid to Gaza. The decision comes as talks on a truce extension appeared to hit an impasse. As the first phase of ceasefire deal comes to an end, Israel has said that it has accepted a US plan to extend the ceasefire in Gaza by 50 days. It has further accused Hamas of rejecting this proposal. Netanyahu has said that Israel accepted Steve Witkoff's plan that will allow the temporary ceasefire through Ramzan and Passover. 58 hostages, including 34 that IDF confirmed to be dead, are yet to be released by Hamas. A total of 251 were taken hostage during the October 2023 attack. Hamas has rejected this plan, insisting that the war must end before any new deal can be made. But Netanyahu rejected any demands for a permanent ceasefire as unacceptable. He added that Israel was suspending aid entering the Gaza Strip due to Hamas stealing supplies. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanked US President Donald Trump for sending weapons held up by the previous administration, which would help finish the job against Iran's terror access, quote unquote. In a video statement, the Israeli Prime Minister reiterated his comment that Donald Trump is the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. Netanyahu added that Trump has shown his friendship to Israel by sending all the munitions that were being held up. Israeli leader made similar remarks last month at a news conference with visiting US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, saying Israel would finish the job against Iran with support from the US. Netanyahu said at the time Israel had dealt a mighty blow to Iran's axis since the Gaza war began, referring to what Tehran describes as its axis of resistance, including Hezbollah in Lebanon and Yemen's Houthi rebels. The Taliban has rejected Donald Trump's claim that Bagram Air Base is now controlled by Chinese forces. Taliban dismissed Trump's remarks as emotional, insisting that no Chinese troops are present in Afghanistan. Trump has also demanded that the Taliban return US-made equipment left behind during America's hasty exit from Afghanistan in 2021. Taliban government spokesperson Zabiullah Mujahid said that Trump's comments reflect a lack of information and reaffirmed that Bagram remains under Taliban control. He further stated that US-made weapons originally belonged to the former Afghan government and are now considered spoils of war to be used for Afghanistan's defense. They will not return them back to the US. A US aircraft carrier has arrived in South Korea just days after North Korea test-launched cruise missiles in a show of military strength. The USS Carl Vinson and its strike group docked in Busan on Sunday. South Korea's Navy said that the visit was part of the ironclad commitment of the US to extended deterrence and to show readiness by the military alliance between Seoul and Washington against North Korea. And this marks the first US carrier visit to South Korea since June, when the nuclear-powered Theodore Roosevelt arrived in Busan to take part in joint military exercises. North Korea has often responded to such deployments with missile tests. Meanwhile, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un ordered full military readiness following the country's latest missile launches. The Vatican has said that the condition of Pope Francis is now stable. It further said that the 88-year-old has not required non-invasive mechanical ventilation. According to the Vatican's Holy Bulletin, the Pope is now on high-flow oxygen therapy and does not have fever. The head of the Catholic Church has been hospitalized since the 14th of Feb after doctors identified a polymicrobial respiratory tract infection that developed into pneumonia. Pope Francis has long struggled with respiratory issues and had part of his lungs removed when he was a young adult. Meanwhile, Vatican cardinals led a vigil in St. Peter's Square on Sunday as Catholic faithfuls prayed for Pope Francis' recovery amid his ongoing hospital treatment.
Contempliamo questa sera I misteri gloriosi, certi.
The rescue operations in the wake of the Chamoli avalanche in India's Uttarakhand state have been called off. 8 people are reported dead in this tragedy. Officials said that search and rescue operations were concluded with the recovery of the last missing worker's body on Sunday evening. More than 50 workers were submerged under snow after the avalanche hit a construction camp on Friday near Mana village on the border with Tibet. Authorities revised down the number of workers on site at the time of the avalanche from 55 to 54. Relief teams had managed to rescue 50 workers, but 4 later died of their injuries. The army said it had airlifted drone-based detection system to assist its search operations. Multiple drones and K9 teams were being deployed in the search. Telangana Chief Minister Revanth Reddy stated on Sunday that the exact location of the 8 persons trapped inside the partially collapsed tunnel of the Srisailam Left Bank Canal (SLBC) project is still unknown. He added that the government is making efforts to expedite the rescue operations. Speaking to the media after visiting the accident site, Reddy said that the rescue operation would gain momentum once the damaged conveyor belt is repaired. He further mentioned that the government has suggested the use of robots inside the tunnel, if necessary, to avoid any risk to rescue personnel. 8 people, including engineers and laborers, have been trapped under the collapsed roof of the tunnel since February 22nd. Rescue operations are underway to bring them to safety. Scorching temperatures have forced school closures across nearly half of Manila as the country enters its dry season. The National Weather Service has warned of danger level heat indices in Manila and other areas, with risks of heat cramps and exhaustion. While Monday's temperatures were forecast at 33 degrees Celsius, authorities in several districts shut classrooms as a precaution, affecting millions of students. Last year's heat wave triggered daily class suspensions, and officials fear a repeat could impact the academic calendar. Experts blame human activity and fossil fuel emissions for intensifying heat waves worldwide, with UNICEF warning that extreme weather disrupted the education of 242 million children in 2024. Two French nationals have been rescued from floodwaters and widespread bad weather in Spain. The French nationals were trapped inside their caravan after being surprised by a flood. They were escorted to safety through the floodwaters in footage released by the Spanish Civil Guard. Due to signs of hypothermia and disorientation, the French nationals were evacuated urgently to receive medical attention. The Civil Guard said it has intervened in more than 20 cases in the area of Almeria due to heavy rainfall and flooding of rivers. US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said he would strip out government spending from the gross domestic product report, but gave no indication how soon this change might happen. While dismissing fears of a possible recession, business and consumer sentiment have deteriorated in recent months, erasing gains notched following Donald Trump's election victory in November. Data on consumer spending and the goods trade deficit have raised the risk of the economy contracting in the first quarter, fanning fears of a recession. Federal government spending accounts for about 6.5% of GDP. It contributed 0.25 percentage points to the economy's 2.3% annualized growth rate in the fourth quarter, mostly from defense spending. Britain's privacy watchdog, the Information Commissioner's Office, has launched an investigation into how TikTok, Reddit, and online image sharing website safeguard children's privacy. It is said that they amplify similar content which can lead to children being influenced by increasing amounts of harmful material. The watchdog said it is probing how Chinese company ByteDance's short-form video sharing platform TikTok uses 13 to 17-year-olds' personal information to suggest content in their feed. While social media and discussion platform Reddit are being investigated over how they assess the age of child users. Iron ore futures fell for a sixth straight session amid rising trade tensions between the US and top consumer China, although upbeat Chinese manufacturing data cushioned the fall. The US steel tariffs are also set to disrupt the Chinese transshipment of steel, estimated at $7 billion, undercutting a vital source of sales for China's struggling steel sector. Oil rose in early trade as upbeat manufacturing data from China, the world's biggest crude importer, led to renewed optimism for fuel demand, with uncertainty about Ukraine peace deal and global economic growth from potential US tariffs. Brent crude oil now trades above $73 a barrel, while US oil rebounded above $70 a barrel. Last month, Brent and WTI posted their first monthly declines in 3 months as the threat of tariffs from the US and its trade partners shook investors' confidence in global economic growth this year and reduced their appetite for riskier assets.